Hey gents, today we're going to talk about J.Crew Mercantile, and this is a great place to check in from the video I did a couple of years ago about J.Crew's road to bankruptcy, because since I did that video, things still aren't looking great for the brand. To a certain segment of the population, J.Crew represents pure Americana. The styles and clothing that brought the company notoriety was fresh, exciting, and stood for an entire lifestyle. It was a mid to high tier brand, which was very aspirational. A lot of that credit goes to former CEO Mickey Drexler, who took the reins in 2003 and led a meteoric rise to the brand. I'm going to do an entire video on Mr. Miller Drexler because he's arguably one of the most important people in fashion in the last 30 years, with stints at Ann Taylor, Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Gap, and then of course J.Crew. Mickey, please answer your email because I'm gonna do that video with or without you. It'd be easier if we could chat. But looking at Mickey's tenure at Gap is highly indicative of the run that he had at J.Crew. Mickey is credited with the founding of Old Navy while driving many iconic ad campaigns for the Gap in the 90s. He was forced out of the Gap by the Fisher family when the brand was overextended and sitting on a mountain of debt in the early 2000s, which is when he jumped to J.Crew. And if that trajectory sounds anything familiar, that's J.Crew's trajectory right now. As he led the growth of J.Crew, he introduced Madewell, which was a way to get lower priced goods into the market without diluting the J.Crew brand, which is also the strategy that he implemented with Old Navy. And most recently, they introduced J.Crew Mercantile, which was kind of a rebranding of their outlet stores, but they also opened up the Amazon channel, which is a huge deal. Amazon has been trying to get more legitimate fashion brands onto their platform, but with the exception of someone like Nike, there's been a lot of brands that have been hesitant to put their arm into that shark's mouth for good reason. And this strategy is not new. It's extremely parallel to other major brands that slowly build customer loyalty and expand, but then they raise money, open a bunch of stores, overextend, and then they have to go into new distribution channels to sustain that top line growth. Look at the Polo line by Ralph Lauren, look at Under Armour going into Kohl's last year. There is a phenomenon in the retail industry where if a brand goes to somebody like JCPenney or a department store, that's when people know that the brand is kind of done because they have to go into that channel in order to get the wider distribution. And so that was Mercantile going on to Amazon. It's just kind of the new version of that, but not even a month after they launched that deal with Amazon, they killed the brand. And Mercantile wasn't just the brainchild of Mickey Drexler. He stepped down as CEO in 2017 and they put in CEO Jim Brett. He was in charge of the company for 11 months in 2018 and he led a new marketing direction, the Mercantile rollout, and a home line that have all basically been pulled back from then. And then following a really tough 2018, Mickey Drexler stepped down as chairman in January of this year. So a check-in on J.Crew as of Q1 in 2019. The brand still isn't looking great. They're like a ship with a lot of momentum, but they can't get the jib to properly follow the keel, and then this captain keeps falling off of the leeward side while H&M, Zara, and every other direct-to-consumer brand are firing cannons through the mainsail. The shining spot for growth in the whole company is the Madewell brand, which is doing positive comps every year. They're seeing a lot of success with their denim program. And the company's stated goal is to return to profitable growth, which is the right mindset. And they've even started to go down the path of restructuring their $1.7 billion in debt. But if you look at other brands that have gone down this path, they basically go bankrupt, close all the stores, and then they're reborn as a brand online because the brand still has some equity in it, which is probably the right path because they really have their work cut out for them. This is not an easy job. So the things to look for in the next few months is definitely their debt restructuring or new capital. The rumors about their new CEO, they're gonna bring in a guy, but he said there's not enough money in the business in order to do a proper turnaround. They definitely need a new CEO, and if you look at kind of the class of CEOs right now they may be looking at, it's probably gonna be a former executive from Old Navy, Gap, from the, like when they were in the 90s, or from the Limited brands. Those are both kind of hotbeds of really good retail executive talent. And then also look at a change in their pricing strategy. For them to be blowing up people every single day with 50 to 70% off for deals is a good way to move inventory, but it's a bad way to rebuild a brand and build brand equity and try to become profitable, as I talked about in my clothing decline video. So I will link to that below. I'll link to the outlet video that I talked about. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always interested in looking at this stuff from a higher view than, what are the clothes like? I'm always interested to look at, that sort of stuff. And so I'll be down in the comments, and as always, you can reach out on social media. Until next time, gents, this is the Kavalier. I know I could Photoshop this, but I kind of just want to blast. I should open the window.